furious, not worried. "Taking care of myself, son," I replied calmly. "You know, I hadn't taken time for myself in years. It's been very revealing." "Mom, this has to stop. You can't just disappear like this. We're your family. We have a right to know where you are." "A right," I repeated, letting the word hang in the air. "Since when does my family have a right over me?" "Since you started acting erratically," he replied. And there he was again, trying to plant the seed that I was mentally unstable. Erratic? Does it seem erratic to you that a 70-year-old woman decides to take a few days for herself? Yes, when that woman has never done anything like that before. "Mom, I think you need to talk to a specialist. You're acting very strangely." "A specialist?" I asked, feigning confusion. "What kind of specialist, Benjamin?" A psychologist, Mom. Someone who can help you with these behavioral changes." Perfect. He was admitting his intentions on a call that I was recording. "You know what, son? You're right. I do need specialized help," I told him, and I could hear his sigh of relief on the other end of the line. "I'm glad you understand, Mom." "Yes, I understand perfectly. I need a specialist in family fraud, a specialist in elder abuse, and a specialist in psychological manipulation, because that's exactly what you all have been doing to me." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. "Mom, what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that I know everything, Benjamin. I know about the fake credit cards Eleanor took out in my name. I know about your plan to have me declared incompetent. I know about the doctors you've contacted. I know everything." "Mom, that's ridiculous. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you really need medical help." "You know what else I know, Benjamin. I know you lost your job 8 months ago, and that you've been living off my money while lying to my face. I know about the trip to the Florida Keys that you paid for with my stolen money. I know many other things that are going to surprise you a lot when you see them in court." "You're delirious," he said, but his voice no longer sounded sure. "Delirious? Last night I heard you planning how to make me really go crazy by switching my medications. Is that a delusion too?" This time the silence was even longer. "Mom, come home. We can talk about this as a family." "No, Benjamin, we are no longer family. A family doesn't betray you the way you betrayed me. A family doesn't plan the mental destruction of one of its members to steal their money." "Mom, please. What I am going to do is give you one chance, just one chance, to confess everything, apologize genuinely, and return every penny you have stolen from me. If you do that, maybe, just maybe, I can find a way to forgive you." "We have nothing to confess," he replied, but his voice was trembling. "Then I'll see you in court, son. Have a good night." I hung up the phone, and for the first time in days, I felt completely at peace. The war had been officially declared, and I had all the weapons. The following days were an emotional roller coaster. My phone wouldn't stop ringing with desperate calls from my family. First, they tried the love tactic. Crying messages from Olivia saying how much she missed me. Broken voices from Eleanor asking for forgiveness for any misunderstandings. And pleas from Benjamin begging me to come home to clear things up. When that strategy didn't work, they switched to fear and intimidation. Benjamin left me a voice message that said, "Mom, if you don't come back immediately, we're going to have to take legal measures to protect you from yourself. Your erratic behavior is forcing us to consider legal guardianship." But Dr. Graham Montgomery had prepared me for this. "Mrs. Caldwell, let them file the petition for guardianship," he advised me during one of our meetings. "It will be the best evidence we could have of their true intentions. Besides, we already have 3 independent psychiatrists who have certified that you are in perfect mental condition." Meanwhile, my private investigator had been very busy. Every day I received new reports that left me more surprised than I thought possible. "Mrs. Caldwell," he told me during our Friday meeting, "your family has dramatically accelerated their plans since you disappeared. Yesterday, Benjamin went to your bank trying to access your accounts, saying that you had suffered a psychotic episode and that he needed to temporarily handle your finances." "And what did the bank tell him?" I asked. Fortunately, the bank manager is very professional. He told Benjamin that he would need official legal documentation to make any changes to your accounts. But Benjamin insisted so much that they had to ask him to leave. There's more. Yes, Eleanor has been selling your belongings. Yesterday, I saw that she posted several of your antique furniture pieces on an online sales page. She also tried to sell your jewelry collection to a pawn shop, but the appraiser refused because the pieces obviously belonged to an older person, and Eleanor couldn't prove she had authorization to sell them. My heart pounded. Those jewels were gifts from my late husband, unique pieces he had collected over decades. "And my granddaughter Olivia?" I asked with a lump in my throat. "She has been the most active of all. She's been telling her friends that you are suffering from advanced Alzheimer's and that the family is considering having you committed. She has also been using this story to borrow money from several acquaintances, saying she needs funds to pay for her grandmother's medical care." Each revelation was more painful than the last. Not only were they stealing from me, they were destroying my reputation and using my supposed illness to manipulate other people. "But here's the most interesting part," the investigator continued. "Last night, the three of them had a meeting at your house with a man our sources identified as Paul Hayes, a document forger known in the city's criminal underworld." "A forger?" I asked, feeling my blood run cold. "Apparently they are planning to create fake medical documents that certify your mental incompetence. Paul Hayes specializes in creating fictitious medical histories and forging doctors' signatures." This was much worse than I had imagined. Not only did they want to steal from me, they were willing to commit multiple serious crimes to do so. "Dr. Montgomery," I said over the phone that same afternoon, "I think it's time to accelerate our plans. If we wait any longer, they're going to have fake documents that could complicate things." "I agree, Mrs. Caldwell. Are you ready for Phase 2 of our plan?" Phase 2 was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of confronting them directly, we were going to let them incriminate themselves publicly. On Monday morning, I got dressed in my new elegant black dress, put on my best jewelry, and headed to the city's most prestigious real estate office. I had made an appointment to view luxury properties, specifically homes worth over $1 million. "Mrs. Caldwell," the real estate agent, a dapper man named Rick, greeted me. "It's a pleasure to meet you. I understand you're interested in acquiring a high-value property." "That's right," I replied with confidence. "I'm looking for a house that reflects my new stage of life, something elegant, modern, with good security." "Perfect. I have 3 properties that might interest you." What Rick didn't know was that my private investigator had coordinated everything perfectly. At 11 in the morning, exactly when we would be viewing the second property, Benjamin, Eleanor, and Olivia would coincidentally appear at the same real estate office. We were in the middle of a visit to a spectacular mansion when I heard familiar voices at the main entrance. "Excuse me," I said to Rick. "I think some acquaintances just arrived." When we went down to the main lobby, there they were, the 3 of them, dressed in their best clothes, talking to another real estate agent. "We're interested in selling a property," I heard Benjamin say. "It's my mother's house, but she's ill, and we have legal power of attorney to handle her affairs." "Power of attorney?" the agent asked. "Could you show me the documentation?" "Well, we're still processing the official papers," Eleanor replied nervously. "But it's just a matter of days. We want to get a head start on the appraisal process." "Hello, family," I said loudly from the stairs. The 3 of them turned around at the same time, and their faces of horror were worthy of a movie. Benjamin turned pale. Eleanor's mouth opened without making a sound, and Olivia literally took a step back. "Mom?" Benjamin stammered. What are you doing here?" "The same thing you are, apparently," I replied calmly as I walked down the stairs. "Although I'm buying, not selling." Rick, my real estate agent, approached with a professional smile. "Do you know these people, Mrs. Caldwell?" "Unfortunately, yes," I replied. "This is my family, or at least that's what I thought until recently." "Mom, we need to talk," Benjamin said, trying to sound authoritative, but failing miserably. "About what, Benjamin?" About how you were planning to sell my house without my authorization? About the fake documents you're processing? Or about the power of attorney you just mentioned that doesn't exist?" The other real estate agent looked confused and clearly uncomfortable. "Excuse me," he interrupted, "but if there is a legal conflict over the property, we cannot proceed with any appraisal until it is resolved." "There's no conflict," Eleanor said desperately. "It's just that she hasn't been right in the head lately." "I'm not right in the head," I repeated loudly, making sure everyone in the office could hear. "Is that why I'm here buying $1.5 million house with my own money?" Rick's jaw dropped. $1.5 million? Olivia whispered. "Oh yes, dear granddaughter," I said with a sweet smile. "It turns out your senile grandmother has a lot more money than you thought." I took out my phone and dialed Dr. Montgomery's number. "Doctor, I'm at Richards & Associates Realty. My family is here trying to sell my property without authorization and claiming they have power of attorney over my affairs. Could you send someone from your office to document this situation?" "Of course, Mrs. Caldwell. Someone will be there in 15 minutes. I hung up and looked at my family with a calmness that surprised me. "Now we're going to wait for my lawyers to arrive," I announced, "and they're going to explain to everyone here exactly what legal documents you have, how you obtained them, and why you believe you have the right to sell my property." Benjamin tried to approach me. "Mom, this is a misunderstanding. We can solve it at home." "No," I said firmly, taking a step back. "There is nothing left to solve at home. I no longer have a home, at least not with you in it." Eleanor began to cry, but they were tears of panic, not sadness. "Martha, please, we're family. Everything we've done has been for your own good." "For my own good?" I asked, raising my voice. "Stealing my money with fake credit cards was for my own good? Planning to forge medical documents was for my own good? Hiring a criminal to fake my medical history was for my own good?" Each accusation fell like a bomb in the lobby of the real estate office. The other clients and employees had stopped to listen, and I could see the expressions of horror and disgust on their faces. "We don't know what you're talking about," Olivia lied desperately. "You don't?" I took out my phone and played one of the recordings I had made. Benjamin's voice filled the space. "We make her really lose her mind. We switch her medications. We hide her things. We tell her she did things she didn't do. In a month, any doctor will certify that she's mentally ill." The silence in the real estate office was deafening. I could see how the faces of the employees and clients were filled with indignation and repugnance. "That recording is illegal!" Eleanor yelled hysterically. "Not in this state," I replied calmly, "and definitely not when it's recorded to prevent a crime that is being planned." At that moment, 2 lawyers from Dr. Montgomery's firm arrived along with a public notary. "Mrs. Caldwell, we are from the Montgomery and Associates firm. We understand there are some people here who claim to have legal authority over your affairs." "That's right," I replied. "I would like you to officially document that these 3 people have no legal power over me, my properties, or my finances, and that any attempt to exercise such authority constitutes fraud." One of the lawyers addressed Benjamin. "Sir, could you show me the documentation that supports your authority to sell Mrs. Caldwell's property?" Benjamin opened and closed his mouth like a fish out of water. "We're in the process of— In other words, they don't have any documentation," I declared, "because they don't have any authority. What they do have is a criminal plan to steal everything I own." The public humiliation at the real estate office was just the beginning. When we left the building, my family followed me to the street, alternately yelling and pleading. "Mom, wait!" Benjamin shouted. "Can't we fix this? It's all been a terrible misunderstanding." "Grandma, please," Olivia cried. "I love you. You can't do this to us." Eleanor, for her part, had completely changed her strategy. She no longer feigned love or concern. "You're a bitter old woman," she shouted at me as I got into my cab. "You've used us all these years. Benjamin gave you the best years of his life, and this is how you repay him?" "The best years of his life?" I turned toward her from the cab window. Do you mean the years I worked 18 hours a day to support him? The years I gave up my career, my friends, my social life to raise him? Those years? You chose to adopt him, Eleanor replied with venom in her voice. No one forced you, and now you pretend we owe you eternal gratitude? I don't pretend you owe me gratitude, I replied with a deadly calm. I just pretend that you don't steal from me, that you don't betray me, and that you don't plan to drive me crazy to get my money. Apparently, that was too much to ask. I told the cab driver to start the car, leaving my family shouting on the curb. That afternoon, Dr. Montgomery summoned me to his office for an urgent meeting. Mrs. Caldwell, I have extraordinary news, he said, with a smile I hadn't seen before. Your family made a critical mistake after the incident at the real estate office. What kind of mistake? In their desperation, Benjamin went directly to the document forger, Paul Hayes, and paid him $50,000 in advance to speed up the creation of your fake medical documents. $50,000? Where did they get so much money? From the credit cards they took out in your name. And apparently, Eleanor sold her car. But here's the best part. Paul Hayes is an FBI informant. He has been collaborating with the authorities for the past 6 months to dismantle a document fraud ring. I was speechless for a moment. You mean that your family is not only being investigated for family fraud, but they are now under federal investigation for conspiracy to commit medical document fraud. The FBI has audio and video recordings of the entire transaction. That night, from my hotel suite, I decided to do something I had been putting off, confront each member of my family individually, but not face to face. I had something much more powerful in mind. I opened my laptop and created an account on the country's most popular live streaming platform. My title was simple but effective. A Grandma Tells the Truth About Her Family. At 8 at night, I started my first live stream. At first, there were only 3 viewers, but to my surprise, the number began to grow rapidly. Good evening, I began, looking directly at the camera. My name is Martha Caldwell. I'm 70 years old, and tonight I'm going to tell you a story that will change the way you see perfect families. In 20 minutes, I had over 500 viewers. By the end of the hour, there were over 3,000. I told them everything, from Benjamin's adoption to the secret note from Dr. Sterling, from the fraudulent credit cards to the plans to drive me crazy. I played the recordings, showed the documents I had compiled, and explained each betrayal in precise detail. The live comments were overwhelmingly supportive. What a horrible family. Mrs. Caldwell, you are a warrior. Sue them. Make them pay for everything. My grandmother went through something similar. Thank you for being so brave. But what really changed everything was when, in the middle of my stream, I received a live call. It was Olivia. Grandma, please turn off that stream, she pleaded. You're ruining our lives. I'm ruining your lives? I repeated so that all the viewers could hear. Don't you think you all ruined mine first? Grandma, everyone is watching us. My friends, my teachers, the whole school. I can't even leave the house. And how do you think I would feel if you had me committed to a nursing home against my will, declared mentally incompetent, and stole all my money? That was never going to happen. We were just exploring options. Exploring options? I shouted, for the first time in days losing the composure I had maintained. Olivia, I raised you since you were a baby. I changed your diapers. I took you to school. I took care of you when you were sick, and you were there smiling while your parents planned to destroy me. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening, but the live comments exploded. Tell her the truth! This girl is shameless. Mrs. Caldwell, don't let her manipulate you. Grandma, Olivia finally said in a broken voice, I need money for college and for other things. You thought what, Olivia? You thought I was your personal bank? You thought you could collaborate on a plan to drive me crazy and then use my money to pay for your studies? It's not like that. Then how is it? Explain it to the 4,000 people who are watching us right now. Explain to them why you told your friends you needed to borrow money to pay for my medical care while I was perfectly fine. Another silence. Then barely audible, "How do you know that?" "Because I'm not the senile old woman you think I am. I know everything, Olivia. Everything, including things about you that your parents don't know." "What? What things?" "Things that could ruin your future much more than this stream could." She hung up immediately, but the damage was already done. The viewers had heard my granddaughter implicitly admit that she knew about the plans against me. 5 minutes later, my phone rang again. This time it was Benjamin, and he sounded absolutely furious. "Mom, turn off that stream right now!" he roared. "Hello, Benjamin," I said sweetly. "Do you want to talk to the 5,000 people who are watching us?" "This is defamation. I'm going to sue you for slander." "Slander? Is it slander to play audio recordings where you all plan to drive me crazy? Is it slander to show bank statements that prove you've been stealing from me for months? Those recordings are illegal." "Not in this state, son, and definitely not when they're made to prevent a crime. But tell me, do you want to explain to all these viewers why you paid a document forger $50,000 yesterday afternoon?" The silence was so long I thought he had hung up. How do you know that?" "Because Paul Hayes is an FBI informant. Benjamin, congratulations. Now you're not only being investigated for family fraud, but for federal conspiracy." "You're lying. Want to bet? Check the news tomorrow morning. Or better yet, wait for the federal agents to knock on your door." The live comments went wild. "FBI, FBI, FBI. This family is going to jail. Mrs. Caldwell is a detective. Justice for Grandma." "Mom," Benjamin said in a broken voice, completely different from his fury before. "Please, stop this. We can still fix it. We're family, aren't we?" "Benjamin," I replied with genuine sadness, "a family doesn't betray. A family doesn't steal. A family doesn't plan the mental destruction of one of its members. What you are is not a family. It's a criminal organization that shares a last name. We gave you 45 years of our lives. You didn't give me 45 years. I gave you 45 years of my life. I gave up everything for you, and you were just waiting for me to die to inherit what you thought I had. We need that money, Mom. We have debts, problems. And that's why you decided to drive me crazy? That's why you decided to steal from me? That's why you decided to destroy the last years of my life? It wasn't personal." Those 3 words hung in the air like a death sentence. It wasn't personal. 45 years of love, sacrifice, and dedication. And to him, it wasn't personal. "You're right, Benjamin," I said finally. "It wasn't personal for you all, and from now on, it won't be personal for me either. I'll see you in court." I hung up and looked at the camera. "And that, dear viewers, was my family," I said with a sad smile. "Tomorrow, I'll continue with this story. Good night." I ended the stream with over 7,000 viewers and hundreds of messages of support. For the first time in weeks, I went to sleep feeling that I was not alone in this battle. The next morning, I woke up with my phone exploding with notifications. My live stream had gone viral. I had thousands of messages of support, hundreds of interview requests from media outlets, and surprisingly, dozens of messages from other older people who had gone through similar situations. "Mrs. Caldwell," one message said, "my son did the exact same thing. Thank you for being brave and telling your story. You've inspired